Today talking with Mike from Builders Business Black Belt, who's also written a book, Builders Business. And you can access him through a Facebook group. Would you like to tell us a bit about that, Mike?
Sure. It's a builders-only Facebook group. There's a bunch of other sub-trades in there because I think the information is valid and relevant for everybody, but it is specifically for builders. It's called Builders Inner Circle if you want to search for it, and it's free to join.
Great. So what brought you into the business, especially the coaching business?
Accident, maybe? Well, the long version, and I'll keep it as short as possible, is I woke up one day and thought, I know, I'll sell life insurance. It's probably a common thought for people. Oh, that'd be a good thing to do. So I went and did that, and only for a couple of years, but the component that really grabbed me was the training, and I was fortunate that the particular trainer in that particular insurance agency was just really strong on personal development. So we were required to go to training for 1 hour every day for the first year you were part of this team. And I kind of just really gravitated towards the personal development and the mindset sort of stuff. Some years later, I got the opportunity to work for a time management company called Daytimer, and they trained me to present the time management stuff. So they were flying me all around the country, teaching time management. And then I kind of just started up my own coaching business, and we did all sorts of things. I did some work in a prison, not as an inmate, but as as a presenter, and like that was just wicked, for a couple of years there working with inmates and just seeing the change and really impacting their recidivism,
Right.
So they kept coming back and we were able to stop that. So that was great. And then I had a little bit of a sideways foray into the elite sport. So I worked with Tennis Australia. All the top kids and a lot of the top athletes went on tour with Sam Stosur on the women's tennis tour as a performance coach, which wasn't all that you'd think it would be.
Oh, really?
It's still fun. And eventually kind of just really focused in on business and then niched it to smaller business. And we had a couple of businesses and trades type businesses in our client base, and I just really gravitated to them because I come from a trades background. I was an electrician. My dad was a commercial builder. I don't know, I just get on with builders. I like fart jokes. I mean, I enjoy and can handle myself in a boardroom, but I really, really enjoy hanging around tradespeople and working with tradespeople. So over the last 2 or 3 years, we really niched down to Builders Business Black Belt, which is focused really in on mostly husband and wife run custom home building businesses. So that's kind of where we are now.
And what do you offer under that umbrella?
Well, the Builders Business Black Belt membership is a membership that you kind of got to qualify for. Like, you've got to be the right fit. It's not for everyone, but what we cover and give our members support in is the area of marketing, which we call attract. We don't talk about marketing. That's a banned word in Black Belt. Sales, we don't talk about sales either because most builders suck at sales and they hate it. So we thought we'd just get rid of it, and we've replaced that with a really cool qualification process. And as soon as that's implemented into a building business, everything changes.
Yeah.
And then we work on how to build a team, but also how to create massive efficiencies in the build process itself.
Yep.
And then, of course, we work on their mindset and teach them how to scale their business. And proper scaling of a business isn't just growing a business, because most businesses are fundamentally flawed. They're broken. Yep. And if you make them bigger, the flaws just get bigger. So the problems expand if you expand or grow a flawed model. So we teach them how to build a model first that gets rid of all of the flaws, and then you can make it bigger and bigger. And of course, part of that is how to manage your finances. So you don't have that financial stress, because that seems to amplify the intensity of every other problem you've ever had.
Yeah. When you said flaws, what type of general flaws do you usually see in a building business?
I guess some of the big bugbears for me is just the mentality that everyone makes decisions based on price. In my world, no one makes a decision based on price. It's all about the perception of value. And what I find is that the majority of the population make decisions based on value, but the majority of businesses are set up as if no one does, as if they all make decisions based on price. So that's a flaw. How they manage and measure their finances and their cash is fundamentally flawed as well. So, I mean, we can expand on that if you want to as we go, but that's a big one.
So very good point, actually. How does someone add value to their business, especially when you first meet someone and it's the quote scenario, the first 10, 10, 10, and then how could someone go from meeting them, doing the numbers and figures up, and knowing that they might not be as competitive quote-wise as some other people that are undercutting themselves? How can they add more value to their business?
Yeah. Great question. And the answer is I don't think you can once you're at that stage. So there's something you need to do before you get into the quoting. And in fact, in Black Belt, none of our builders do free quotes. They are always paid to put their quotes together. And to be able to do that, you've got to put a series of steps in place that are focused on genuinely understanding from your prospect's point of view what their fears, frustrations, wants and aspirations are. Yeah. And if you've got some steps set out, some questions set out that really show that you care and you're able to feed back the answers that you get so that person feels like they're understood, there's a hell of a lot of trust that is created right in that moment. Yep. And I think that the building industry has actually trained the population, the prospects and customers, to approach this expecting to get free quotes. And it sucks for everybody. Free quotes just suck. End of story. Nobody wins. The poor builder's up at 11 o'clock at night after spending 12 hours on the tool, spending 20 minutes with his kids at dinner time, and then he's, rubbing sleep out of his eyes trying to put together a quote for somebody. Yep. How accurate and how dedicated and committed is that builder after they've done all of that work that day and they're still up late at night doing this, versus if they are being paid like any other professional to invest their experience, their time and their intellectual property and knowledge into preparing something that is really accurate and quality. And I just believe that builders need to be paid for that. And to do that, we've just simply put together a series of steps that educates the prospect to this is a better way of doing it. Yep. If you don't want to do it this way, that's fine. Go out and get your 3 free quotes. We just won't be participating in that process. Yep. And we find that with our Black Belt members, it just saves a ton of time. And really, really builds their confidence. I mean, it can really knock you around if you are preparing, multiple quotes, say 10 quotes, and 2 or 3 of them get accepted. You can really take a hit to the old ego, not to mention a massive waste of time and effort.
I guess as well, there's something about that that just comes to mind. You're really qualifying the quotation, aren't you, as well? You're not just willy-nilly just giving out your free time to anyone. You know that the person who's going to say actually going to pay for it is actually really looking for your services.
Totally. And then that's the feedback we get from our members. If somebody is prepared to shell out, anywhere between $2,000 and $6,000 to get a proposal, we call them, rather than a quote, prepared, they've all but decided you're the right person. And that happens because of all of the steps prior, building the relationship before you even get to that proposal stage. The people feel like you really know what you're doing because of your process, and you've understood from their perspective. So there's a high level of trust there. So they feel really comfortable by the time they get to that point. And then they make the investment to get the proposal done. I can't remember anyone in Black Belt even saying that they didn't get awarded the project for a quote that they'd been paid for.
Yep.
But, obviously there's a high level of trust, and there's just that momentum and that relationship's built. So it just ends up with the builder getting awarded that project. But the best thing about it is it sets up the right relationship dynamic at the start.
Yep.
I think it's bad news if you've got a customer who thinks that you're their slave because they're paying you money. That's a bad dynamic. I think it needs to be set up so we're a team. You tell me what you want, what you don't want, what you're concerned about, and I'll use my systems and my processes and my knowledge and experience to give you the best value and the best outcome.
Yep.
So let's keep our communication really open and transparent and work together. And yes, there will be problems, but let's put them out on the table and work them out as we go along. It's a much better way of doing things. Because
once you've already got the wrongest relationship established, it'd be very difficult then to change it.
Yeah. It's I think best explained by, and there's a book back there called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, and he talks about the emotional bank account. And everyone has an emotional bank account with everybody else. And little things like turning up on time and doing what you said you're going to do and giving people compliments and, those sorts of things are deposits. The opposite of those are obviously withdrawals. And so when you go through a process like this, what you're doing is putting a lot of deposits in the emotional bank account between you and your prospect.
Yep.
And then when things go wrong, not if things go wrong, because there'll be weather, there'll be a problem with supply of something, or there'll be a miscommunication or something like that, that is a withdrawal. But the way it happens with most people, because they haven't got a process to put the deposits in the bank account in the first place, when you make a withdrawal, which probably wasn't even your fault, but the prospect or the customer sees it as a withdrawal, you are now overdrawn. Whereas if there's a nice bank balance in there of deposits and a mistake is made or an error, yes, there's a withdrawal, but there's still a healthy balance of trust and so forth in the emotional bank account. So there's a lot of forgiveness there. And that's when you can work together really well as a team.
Yeah.
If you get overdrawn, the trust disappears, and then I think the customer starts to look for other cracks, other things to complain and whinge about.
Yeah, that's a very good point, especially when it comes to the end and they're about to pay the last bit of the bill.
Absolutely, and that all needs to be established right up front. These are our expectations. We want to understand your expectations, and that is very clearly mapped out in our processes. So, again, I don't remember the last time anyone in Black Belt said that they had a hassle with the final payment and changeover. In fact, some of our members turn changeover into an event. I know one of our members invites all of the team.
Yep.
They invite past clients, like to somebody's house that they don't even know.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And future prospects, and they all turn up to this person's house.
Yeah,
and they do a presentation and they film it all and all of this sort of stuff and give the gifts to the new homeowner. And of course, the homeowner is as proud as punch. And of course, they're going to say the experience was magnificent. And of course, the people that are prospects are watching all of this go down.
Yeah.
What are they going to think? But it includes the team, and it just shows prospects that these people know what they're doing. everyone's doing this for the right reasons, but it also gives the homeowner and past clients a real sense of, belonging to something special, and these people are going to be around to support them when and if they need them for another project or to fix something on the past project. It's just win-win all the way around. It's very smart. Wished I'd thought of it.
Me too. But I'm going to suggest that from now on. It's been on TV all the time in those renovation projects, and I feel quite excited when they're looking around the house and they're doing the filming and that.
It's such an opportunity missed when people go, do the handover, here it is, hope it was, handshake, see you later. The team are nowhere to be seen, and the builder thinks, I'll do the right thing and I'll put a goodie basket together with a bottle of champagne and a wheel of cheese in it. And it's like, that's their big presentation, they're missing a massive opportunity.
That's good. That's really good. So you mentioned before about working with people who have problems of being in debt at the moment, running their own business. What would your suggestions be for someone who is already a builder, they're not doing so well, and they are in debt? How will they shift that whole situation?
My automatic answer to that is buy the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz.
Yep.
Read it 16 times at minimum.
Yep.
So you really understand it and implement that thing. And don't change it to suit how you feel, because that's what happens a lot. The people see a system, and because this system will create pain, there's no doubt about it. I mean, when someone's in debt, they're already in pain. And to fix it, it's going to be a little bit worse before it gets better, and there's no way out of that.
Yep.
And so what we will tend to do is try and fix a problem with the least amount of pain to us. So we'll change the system to suit us.
Yep.
Big mistake. But the Profit First system, I cannot recommend it highly enough to anybody, whether you're a builder, a sub-trade, even if you are on wages working for somebody else. I would suggest you read this book because it is life-changing. And I spoke to you before we started doing the recording that I think so many people use that phrase inappropriately, and it gets a bit overused. But I think in this case it is totally appropriate. Yep. And I've experienced it myself. And to be completely transparent, when I first read the book and did the part of the process called the instant assessment, which gives you a snapshot of your financial health, it's the reality right now. I felt physically sick. Really? And the reason was that I'd been in business for a long time, and in my office, I had a different type of studio to this, but back then we were called Uncover Hidden Profits. That was the name of the business. And I'm sitting under a sign in my office with 2-foot-high letters reading this, and it finally dawned on me that I didn't even know what a profit was. I thought it was the figure on the profit and loss sheet. It's got nothing to do with it. A proper profit is cash that is not earmarked for anything else other than to reward you for your effort, your sacrifice, your disciplines, and the responsibility of running and owning your own business and looking after the people within it. That's what it's for.
Yep.
And tell me the last time anyone you heard of went to the accountant said, you made 50 grand profit this year, and dropped a wad of hundreds in their palm. There it is,
I've never heard of that ever.
It's because it never happens. Because people think that profit is this number on a profit and loss sheet, and it's not. It is real cash that actually exists, and it's not needed for anything else. And the Profit First system, when you follow it to the letter, the first thing you experience is there is the money in the tax account, which is a separate bank account, for the BAS when it comes due. So you don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul. The BAS is due. Who do we steal money from to pay the BAS? Everyone goes through that. And after a little while, the money is always there to pay subcontractors on time, suppliers on time, to the point where you can now start to negotiate with your suppliers and say, well, rather than a 30-day account, we'll pay you, immediately or whatever, but we want a reduction, if you like, some sort of discount, which then contributes to a little more profit. But the main thing with this system is that it doesn't affect your accounting, but it represents your financial situation to you in a different way than generally accepted accounting practices. And what that does is it changes your natural desire to make certain decisions. So, for example, the average builder has one bank account where all the money comes in and all the bills get paid out.
Yep.
That's pretty standard. And depending on the day that you look in that bucket, in that bank account, you either feel really good or really bad.
I say that all the time with Mark.
Yeah, it's a timing thing.
Yeah.
And the problem with running a system like that is if you go, oh, gee, the car broke down, I think we need to lease a new Ranger or whatever the case may be. And the day that you have that thought just happened to be the day that a nice progress payment came in, and you peer in the bank account and you're full of confidence and you go, yes, let's sign up for that new 5-year lease. And unfortunately, the payments keep coming out every month for the next 5 years because of that decision.
Yep.
Had you looked at it on another day when everything had been paid and you peer in there, you go, oh, I don't think we should do that. That's a bad idea.
Yep.
And so the Profit First system works by making sure that all of the money that isn't yours and never was, such as GST, PAYG, super money, money for materials, money for subcontractors, is taken out of your operating expense account, and you make all of the decisions on how to run your business with what's in that account. Most of the time, particularly in the early days, it's like... no, we can't buy that new pencil. We have to use charcoal or something. You're really, really skinny. But the beauty of that, and it works with everybody, is it snaps you into this entrepreneurial mode where you just seem to be able to make things work with what you've got. Yep. Everyone's got the ability to do that, but... you need to be put in a position where you must do that. And this system does that. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, it's paying all of the bills and building a nice little profit nest egg over here for you to enjoy.
Yeah. You mentioned before we started recording about an example of that. Could you share that? Sure.
I think there was a couple of members, husband and wife run business that joined Black Belt back in the early days when it first started, around about 3.5 years ago, something like that. When they came to us, and we didn't find this out till later, it was their last roll of the dice. If they couldn't get it together, they felt that they just needed to walk away from the business because their situation was a massive 6-figure debt to the tax department that was constantly pressing on them. All of the other pressures of running a building business, trying to find work, all of that sort of stuff, doing massive hours, robbing Peter to pay Paul, managing the finances, and they just never seemed to be able to get ahead. That was their situation when they came to us. You understand also that when you're in that situation, there are all sorts of other problems that arise, such as, a bit of friction in relationships and, short fuses, because you're just working such long hours and all that sort of stuff. I'm sure plenty of people watching understand that. They implemented the Profit First system a little over 18 months down the track because these guys are quiet achievers. They just do stuff. They don't necessarily make a big deal out of it. They posted just their situation in our secret Facebook group for our members. Basically said, things are going really, really well. This is what's happened since we implemented Profit First. We've no longer got the tax debt. We've got $100,000 of profit, that's cash, in the bank that's not earmarked for anything else. We've been able to put the pool in the backyard that we've been wanting to do for ages. We've bought a caravan down the coast, and we've got the cash flow available to us now to go, for long weekends and a week at a time here and there with the family, to have a holiday at our caravan. Yep. And I'm sitting there going, this is just mind-blowing. This is amazing, because I've seen plenty of people in their situation, the situation they were in initially, but I've never seen people change their situation that rapidly.
Yep.
And they will give 100% of the reason why they went from here to here to that profit first system. I wish I'd written a book. I don't even get a commission if somebody buys one of these books. It's like, it changed our lives, and so we started to share it with our members, and I just see our members' lives changing just all of the time, because it's a requirement in black belt. It's a requirement. They have to go through a health check based on the profit first principles. We put them in touch with a profit first professional who's an accountant that understands these principles. Yep. He goes through their situation with a fine-tooth comb, sets them up with proper pricing, proper recording, a proper strategy, all of the accounts and the steps to work it, and gives me a health report. So in our coaching, we make sure that they are working on the things that are going to get them out of the financial hole.
Yep.
It's very cool. I love it. It's just...
So you can help keep them accountable.
Yeah. It's so important. The accountability is so important, and it's great that you've got a group of clients. And one thing that I've found is having the ability to have all your clients be able to talk to each other is really cool and powerful.
Yep.
Because what I've found in 27 years of coaching is accountability is necessary, but there are three different types. There's self-accountability. I mean, that sucks unless you're some sort of freak of nature.
Yep.
Coach accountability, or being accountable to one other person, like your boss or a coach or something like that. That works for a little while, but that loses its luster quite quickly. But the thing that never does is peer accountability. Mm. And when you're telling this group of people who you respect what you're going to do, what progress you're making, how you went, what lessons you learned, you find that people really commit to their projects and their actions and their goals and so forth when they're accountable to a group. It's very powerful.
How important do you think, following on from it, how important do you think psychology is to a business, like your own personal psychology and your family psychology?
Essential, foundational, vital, any other more powerful word that I could think of, that it has to happen.
Yeah. Is there any tools you could suggest for someone for daily to implement that would be able to put them in the right psychology mind frame?
Yeah. Again, this is a not so much a requirement, but I enthusiastically encourage our members to do a thing called a personal success ritual every day, 7 days a week. And it's basically a simple 4-step process where the first thing you do, and the best personal success ritual is done as soon as you wake up. So as soon as your feet hit the carpet, right?
Yeah.
Don't have a shower, don't eat breakfast, don't clean your teeth, none of that. Like if there's a bit of pressure there, you may need to go and relieve that. But apart from that, you need to do your personal success ritual first, because what it does is first step is you watch something that gets you a little inspired. The second step is a thing we call the 60-second success system, which simply you just get a pad and a paper and you just write stuff down that would be off the charts cool to have, become, experience, as long as there are no limits. So you're writing down stuff that is completely impossible in your thought process, but would be brilliant. And all that is a challenge to chip away at your self-imposed limitations in your thought. That's all that does. You do it for 60 seconds. Then, and all this is with a stopwatch or a countdown timer, Then the third step is 3 minutes with your goals. So there are a few things you could be doing in that 3 minutes. You could be writing down goals, creating new ones, or unpacking current goals to figure out what you need to do, or you could just be reading what you've done in the past few days. But you're spending time with your goals. And then the fourth and final step is creating what we call a prioritised daily action list. And because you're kind of feeling a bit inspired by this stage, and you've just spent time with your goals, what tends to happen is that the action steps to some of your really important goals end up on your to-do list for that day.
Yep.
And because of the setup, the psychological setup of this process, what we find is people really want to commit to the actions that are connected to their goals rather than allowing themselves to be distracted or pushed around by the circumstances of the day. So you set yourself up to feel better and to not, or to be able to say no a lot more. Because you're focused. It's kind of like what you need to do is set the really important things up in your daily action list so they feel the same as if you're driving to the airport to catch an international flight, right?
Yep.
How focused are you on getting there on time, like getting this done? If someone rings up and says, dude, can you just swing? I know you're on the way to the airport, but can you swing by and feed my goldfish? You go, dude, I'll buy you new ones when I get back. That's not happening. And so you need to have that sort of commitment and focus to the high leverage activities that are connected to the goals that are business building goals. Yep. Not just getting stuff done. Like getting the roof trusses on today isn't a goal. Yep. That's just stuff we need to do. But bringing the team together to discuss ways that we can be more efficient. Now that's a goal.
Yeah.
Things like that. Super powerful, super important, and always drop to the bottom of the list when we've got work to do.
Well, that's very true. Good point you just made just then, bringing the team together. That's a question I had for you, actually, because I know a lot of guys who do struggle with communication with the boys, and if they do have people who are causing a few issues in the team, how would you suggest going about that and like fixing those issues and creating outcomes that are beneficial for the business?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I don't have a simple, quick answer, but I'll do the best I can. I always suggest that we have scheduled 3 different types of meetings, and they must happen.
Yep.
Even if you don't think you're getting value out of these meetings in the meetings, I tell you what, if you make sure these meetings are scheduled and they happen, you'll be avoiding so many problems just because these meetings are happening. Even if nothing's happening in the meetings, because these meetings exist, a lot of problems disappear. So point 1. The most important meeting is a thing we call the daily direction meeting, and it's a kind of stand-up 5 to 7 minute meeting, and it's all about what's the objective for today, and it's all about reward or lesson. So celebrate or learn a lesson from yesterday's performance. So what was the objective yesterday? How did we go? If we went well, high fives all around, well done. If we didn't go so well, what was the lesson? High fives, well done all round for that lesson. So it's 100% positive. And then what is the purpose of today? What's the outcome we want to get to today? And everyone clear. And then you'll say, does anyone know anything or know of any reason as to why we might not be able to get there? And someone might say, yeah, the truck's got a flat tyre or whatever it is, so we won't be able to do this, that and the other. And then you'll go, okay, is there a workaround? If there isn't, let's change the objective so it's realistic. Like the boss doesn't want to ever say, mate, I think you've confused me with someone who gives us stuff, get it done.
Yeah,
that's bad leadership. You've got to listen to what people say. You've got to make them feel relevant and their contributions are valued, and then do something about it. Just don't placate them with words. let them see your actions and that you're open to change, then they'll contribute more. The reason that they don't contribute, like when you ask your team for ideas, you go, oh, what can we do here? And they go, the reason that they have that deer in the headlights or stunned mullet look on their face is they are so used to not being listened to.
Yeah.
So what's different about today? So you've got to prove yourself. So daily direction meeting, absolutely essential. Weekly team meeting, and I can hear people saying when I say this, oh, we haven't got time to do all of this. The reason you haven't got time is because you're not doing all of this, right? You need to have a weekly team meeting, and its focus isn't so you can go, right, you're crap and you're hopeless and you need to lift your game and all that sort of stuff. It is to bring the team together and create a greater sense of team. That's its only purpose.
Yep.
It's not there to sort of dole out information or anything like that. It's there to bring the team together. And how we generally do that is you create a safe environment for people to put things on the table that give them the irrits, like things that annoy people, things that bore people, things that frustrate people. And you create a safe environment where they can talk about, put that on the table, and then everyone comes up with a solution to that.
Yep.
When you create that environment, what's now happening is these guys are building the efficiencies within your business for you.
Yep.
It's incredibly powerful. And then the third type of meeting is the monthly one-on-one. And that is getting into the detail of where that individual wants to go with their life, if you like, within this business. It might even be that you discuss and put it on the table that maybe at some stage in the future they want to start their own business. And you hear all the business owners, builders go, oh, God, you don't say that, put all that effort into them, and then they go and leave. They're going to do that anyway. It's like a drum solo at a rock concert. You know it's coming and there's nothing you can do about it. It's just going to happen. So if that is going to happen, you might as well show them what they need to do, what they need to be responsible for, what they need to learn on that journey. And our experience is with our black belt members, they do this. And sometimes people do leave and start their own business, but what they become is an ally, and you can share resources and help each other out. But what happens more often than not is the person goes, that's not as romantic as I thought. That's not as exciting as I thought. And if you're giving them the freedom and the reward and the fulfillment and the recognition within the business, and they feel like this is their business anyway, why would they go and start another business? Yeah,
that's a very good point, actually.
So three, daily direction meeting, weekly team meeting, monthly one-on-ones.
Would you include subbies in that as well, like electricians? And
Absolutely, because in my head, the only difference between a subby and a directly employed employee or team member is their relationship with the tax department.
Yep.
At the end of the day, we are all humans. We're all skin bags of emotion working together on a project.
Yep.
It's irrelevant as to whether they are employed or subbies or whatever. And we've got members that include their suppliers in this.
Yep.
If the builder can show the supplier how they can do this or this and take away some sort of pain from their business, the builder gets preferential treatment, and they love that builder.
Yeah.
Help them build their business.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Going into that, so in those discussions, let's say something pops up in the future, and I hear this a lot. You might have a plasterer come on and they've quoted this much for the job, or let's say electrician comes in to do a bit of a fit out, and then there's a variation that pops up. They've kind of added on, and the price has gone from $5,000 to $20,000. How would you deal with that situation?
Again, that kind of comes back to the to pretty much everything that we've spoken about needs to be in place. In particular, the working together with the client. We're a team, and good communication, all of that sort of stuff. Yep. That really, if that arises, that is a big red flag that something is missing from our process way back at the start. So yep. There needed to have been some communication about that, some agreement, some understandings of expectations way yep. back when. But if it just came out of the blue and it was unexpected, again, I think if you've done the right thing with the client and you've put a lot of deposits in the emotional bank account leading up to this point, this could be a massive withdrawal, but there'll still be a balance there. And I've been made aware of some situations with some of our black belt members just recently where they've had to deal with that. I think there was an underpinning job that blew out from 10 to 50 grand or something.
That's a big jump.
Yeah. But only 500%. And if you say it quickly, it doesn't seem that big. But, our black belt member is excellent at communication and building the rapport and the connection early. And the customer, whilst was unhappy about having to pay the money, did not hold the builder responsible for it at all.
Yep.
So it got done. There was another case where one of the subcontractors created a problem with the next door neighbour, and it could have gotten nasty, like a sexual harassment type scenario.
Oh, wow. Yep.
Again, the black belt member had built really strong connections and relationships with the customer.
Yep.
And through that, you learn skills of communication and building rapport, and you really, back to your question, how important is psychology? Well, understanding it is really important. So our black belt member also builds connections with with neighbours of their customer, because sometimes, a wall falls over or this or that happens. So you need to have that connection with them as well. And because he had that connection and he had some communication skills and dealt with it,
yep.
didn't sweep it under the carpet or say it's not my problem, again, had to sever ties with that subcontractor because they had just totally done the wrong thing, but was really, really highly respected by both the customer and the neighbour.
Yep.
So he really turned that lemon into lemonade big time.
Because sometimes, I'm not saying that situation in particular, but a situation that could turn very sour can sometimes turn into a great opportunity to open up communication, which can turn something around.
Yeah, 100%. I think that needs to be in your thinking all of the time. And it's like when something bad happens, we've just got to address it. And that's why you've got to have these discussions and these understandings of expectation through that qualification process, even before somebody becomes a customer. Because if you smell remotely that this prospect could be that type of person that if they see an opportunity to gain from your pain, they'll
yep.
take it, you better not go anywhere near that project. That's the whole idea of a qualification process. You build the rapport, you build the trust, you build the relationship, then you sign contracts.
Yep.
Don't do it the other way around and find out when it's too late. That keeps you up at night. That's just bad news.
Yeah. I think, because a lot of people, I guess, would like to be in the position where they can choose their clients.
Well, you can. I mean, you totally can, but you've got to, it's hard work. I mean, I think people think we just get this information and it'll all be unicorns and rainbows, and it's just not. Our guys work exceptionally hard, but not hard, long hours, hard doing or making the shifts up here and in here. So they do things differently and they get past that. I don't have time for that. As an example,
yep.
With our attract strategy, which is the replacement for a marketing strategy, we get our guys to do a lot of content creation. So writing articles and doing videos and doing Facebook Lives, following a very, very specific formula, again, based on customer or prospect psychology.
Yep.
But they could be doing anything upwards of, 6, 7 videos and 2 or 3 articles a week. And you go to a builder, you've got to do that. And they go, no.
Yep.
That won't be happening. Well, that is a really important part, because what that does is it positions you as an authority for a start. It builds trust and a connection with your prospect before you've even met them.
Yeah.
It also qualifies certain people out. So if you're a specialist in, we've got one member who's just amazing at straw bale, and they build places all over the country.
Yep.
So if you're a first home buyer and after a square brick and tile, first home sort of thing, when you start to see their information, you're going to discount them out. You're not going to be contacting them. But
yep.
So your attract strategy does a lot to qualify out the wrong people. So you end up with a lot of the right people going into your qualification process, which means that the qualification process works really, really well. Good quality clients come out the other end of the qualification process. You save a ton of time and you feel really good. Yep. If you've got a rubbish attract strategy and you're getting lots of leads being pumped into your qualification process and you're putting 100 people through it and you get one client out of it, like, you are spent. You're just exhausted, and you take a hit to the ego, and it's just, what's going on? So you've got to have all of these parts taken care of for it to work. There's no magic pill where you can just work in one area of your business and it gets all fixed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point, because attracting the right client and actually attracting the right number of clients in, so you've got all the overheads covered, you're making a profit. That's cool. I think you've pretty much covered everything there, just about. We've
pretty much figured out the answer to success in life. I don't think there's another problem we need to solve. I think we've pretty much solved everything.
Solved everything. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it, actually.
I love talking about this, as you may have gotten from our conversation. I love it. I'm passionate about it. And if we can help builders and sub-trades alleviate the unnecessary pain. Like there's necessary pain, which is doing what you need to do to build a great business, but there's unnecessary pain that comes from, I think, those global perceptions that is rife in the building industry, that good help's hard to find, people won't pay for quotes, everyone makes decisions based on price. If we just change those 3 mindsets, things will be significantly better. And I'm on a mission.